Ladies and gentlemen, RosterWatch Nation, brought to you by RosterWatch.com. My name is Alex Dunlap here, of course, with the Trashman on a Thursday afternoon, going over some news from a industry mock draft, a 2020 mock draft for SiriusXM that I took part in on Tuesday night with some really good industry folks, and kind of gave me some ideas as far as the best ball cheat sheet, ways we can be leveraging ADP right now. Also, we're going to talk about the prospects, the wide receiver prospects, KJ Hill and James Prochet, as we round out the breakdowns of these Senior Bowl wide receivers and get into some of these juniors. Again, I'm Alex Dunlap here with the Trashman. Find all of our content at RosterWatch.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, Twitch, you can always find the podcast in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever podcasts are heard. Trashman, what the hell's going on, brother?
Not too much. Just repping some Oilers gear today.
Yeah, I see that.
Wintry out, kind of cold. So I thought I'd break out. I've been moving, so a lot of this clothing that I haven't seen in a long time is making a reappearance.
You always like your clothing to have a little bit of a mothball smell to it, anyway, don't you? A little bit of that Trashman musk. A little bit of that musk.
The ladies love it.
No, I'm not. Well, that's crazy that they actually probably do. And it's disturbing to me as can be, but
it's awesome.
There's some things.
What can I say?
There's some things in this life that you just figure like, fuck, man. Like, that's just. There's some things I understand. There's some things I get. There's some things I just don't get, and that's something I just don't get, man. The women flock to Trashman and his disgusting musk. What do you think about this, Jameis Winston? He got LASIK surgery.
I mean, Phillip Rivers looks like he's on his way in.
Do you think he'll go there? I've been hearing more and more that he might go to the Colts. That the Colts are after him. That's where he needs to go. The offensive line. You're gonna go to the. I mean, come on, dude. You go from one bad offensive line to the next.
I think he'll go wherever somebody lets him start.
Do you think it'll be something about letting him start? I think he's going to be able to choose Phillip Rivers. I think he'll be able to choose.
Is he that good anymore? I don't think he's an elite quarterback anymore.
I mean, he's 30. Was he 37? What has he got? 9 kids now? You get 9 kids, that takes a lot out of you.
Dude, who threw more touchdowns than him besides Jameis Winston? Maybe, more interceptions. Maybe it was. Oh,
I don't know. Okay, I mean,
he might have been second in the league in interceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, but might as well just look it up because we're such a professional podcast here that we have this information ready to go. So interceptions last year, Baker Mayfield threw 21, so he was in second place. Phillip Rivers in third place, though. 20 picks last season. Baker Mayfield, 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. He sure doesn't get as much shit as Jameis, does he?
Doesn't. Sure doesn't. I don't know. Maybe another year under his belt, and he might.
Have you heard about Baker's most recent exploits back behind some kind of Trader Joe's or something like that, where he's been soliciting certain activities with young women around the city of Cleveland?
No.
Dude, this girl went on public radio with a very, very skimpy looking outfit on, claiming that she claims that Mayfield blocked her on Twitter, and she got pissed off about it because, that was the way he'd originally apparently reached out to her. And so after he blocked her, she's like, oh no, like I'm going to go get him. So she's talking about, one thing led to another in the back of his Range Rover behind some weird store.
He's like something in between, he's like a Johnny Football meets Jimmy Garoppolo.
Something, man. I hate to say it, man, because the kids from my neighborhood, like the place where it's funny. One of the I think some of the teachers at my kids' school, were, like their parents of family that he would grow up with, you know what I mean? So
you get your Nick Foles and your Drew Brees. Sometimes you get your Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's true. Well, different schools. We're talking Westlake High School versus Lake Travis, but
it's all the same to me.
All right. So no, you don't think that this after the years of squinting that this is going to help Jameis?
I think Jameis's problem, it's a decision-making problem. I don't know that it's a vision problem.
Well, I mean, doesn't your vision and the key points of information that you get from your vision lead to the synapses inside your brain that cause the decision?
It could. It very well could. I don't think it's a given in his case.
It's a chicken egg deal. It's like the stuff about free will that all these intellectuals talk about. Does it exist?
Oh, do you not think it does?
I just don't understand how it. I mean, to me, when people start talking about the idea that maybe free will doesn't exist, my eyes glaze over and I say, "How the fuck could this not exist?" They're like, "What you're talking about is just too far over my head."
Yeah, I've heard some interesting arguments, but I don't really buy into them.
I'm not sure I call it interesting. On my own free will, I took part in a mock draft for SiriusXM on Tuesday night. I don't think we're allowed to go over the results of it because those are fucking state secrets. Apparently, they need to be guarded tooth and claw. But I was really told, I can't give those out because I guess it would spoil the broad. They're going to have a broadcast breaking it all down with Matt Camp and Joe Dole. And I believe that's Thursday. So tonight, Thursday night, SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, I think 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. But what I did, Trashman, and maybe I'll just share this here. I'll share this link with you. I don't know if I already no, I haven't. So I'm going to give you, it's just in a Google sheet. I'm going to share this with you real quick so you can have it to look at. Because what I did was here on this sort of skeleton of the best ball cheat sheet, and our listeners and viewers know what the best ball cheat sheet is or what the draft cheat sheets are. I'm testing them right now because, we need to get this thing up and ready for best ball drafts. Usually by the time of the combine. That's usually the time that I set for myself for this. And so what I did was I just made notes on here. And Trashman, what I did is I color coded in red the players who went later than I was expecting based on their kind of early ADPs and where I have them sort of slotted as far as where I think that the value exists right now in drafts. But I'm just going to share this page. Let me just share this page so people who are watching can listen. Let's see. Do we have Trashman back? Did we lose you for a second there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. So let me just share this page. Share screen, share a tab, best ball cheat sheet, share. Okay, so when you look at this, you can kind of see that there are these guys here that I marked in red, the guys that went later than I would have imagined, and I marked in blue the guys that went earlier than I had imagined. And it's weird because when you just look at it in general, there are these tiers, right? It's like there's a whole tier right here that kind of went, that people weren't as appealing to people. And then this whole tier here that seems like it was much more appealing to people as far as where they went. And a similar thing happened right down here mainly with these quarterbacks. And then certainly these quarterbacks and everything. But then, some of these, so I kind of want to go over some of these and just sort of figure out what it is that I'm missing or what it could be that the general public is missing whenever we're sort of looking at this stuff. So the first thing right off the top is Nick Chubb. I like Nick Chubb better than Alvin Kamara right now. I like him better than Derrick Henry and better than Aaron Jones, just because I don't think there's going to be any Kareem Hunt next year in Cleveland. I think it's too much.
Did you liked him more than Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I do. Do you think that Derrick? I mean, for one, I think Derrick Henry might hold out. I think that he wants to start out with $90 million. I don't think the season he had this year could be anything like the season last year. I think eventually teams are just going to sell out to stack the box and try and just keep that guy from doing what. I mean, eventually you got to realize that he's an atomic weapon that you really need to sell out to stop. And look, last year we were right. We had a bunch of Derrick Henry. Now he's being taken as like the pick 1.07, the 1.08. I think it's too high. And I think that Nick Chubb is a player who's going to be on an offense that I feel like Baker Mayfield, despite all of the recent kerfuffle that, that offense is going to take a step up. Just addition by subtraction with Freddie Kitchens. Odell Beckham is still there. Jarvis Landry's still there. David Njoku can't continue to be such an absolute non-factor. Like, this thing's going to pick up a little bit, right? It's a better coach. Like, it's year two with a lot of these.
You don't think that too might mean that they rely less on Chubb?
Why would they rely less on Chubb? Before Kareem Hunt was even a part of this plan, don't you remember how sick Nick Chubb looked in the receiving game?
Yeah,
before Kareem Hunt came in and fucked all that up.
He looked almost as sick as Derrick Henry.
My main question is, do you not feel all right? So you feel more comfortable with Derrick Henry than Nick Chubb?
I like Derrick Henry more than, if I had to choose right now going into the fantasy season, I would rather have Derrick Henry.
Well, do you know what this goes to show? Pick 1.06 sucks. It does, because look at it, man. I mean, you feel comfortable with, personally, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Thomas, Dalvin Cook. Then after that, you're choosing between Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. All those guys feel about the same to me. I'd rather pick at 110, 111, and just take who's left.
Well, who's left then?
Kamara, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams.
Joe Mixon, he's the dark horse for me there.
Well, he's going to be the one who's left. And Joe Mixon did go a little bit earlier than I would have expected. Not so much earlier that it.
If you're looking at players over the last quarter of the season, some of those picks make sense to me.
Okay, all right. So hold on. Some of what picks make sense to you?
Some of the picks that you went later than you thought. Went earlier than you thought they might, than they should have.
Okay. Well, we haven't got to any of those yet. Like,
I know. I'm just going off of what I saw in that.
Okay.
In that snapshot.
DeAndre Hopkins went later than I thought. He didn't go to the second round.
DeAndre Hopkins didn't have. He didn't have the year that we were expecting from him. There was definitely a period of time in the season where we were wondering what was going on with him. Do you disagree?
I don't. Yeah, but I'm not worried about DeAndre Hopkins, right? And
I'm just trying to think about people's mindsets going into that draft and what they might be thinking about, taking DeAndre Hopkins a little bit later.
Is DeAndre Hopkins still not? I mean, did you not have similar concerns about, say, like Devontae Adams? I mean, this year he wasn't necessarily, Mr. Consistent himself. DeAndre Hopkins still finished in PPR. I mean, he finished as wide receiver 6. I mean, him and Devontae Adams both, I guess it was a little bit disappointing for both. They each had 17.7 fantasy points per game. Devontae Adams just played less games.
Right. I feel like with Devontae Adams, because he played less games, so he wasn't on the field. DeAndre Hopkins was on the field and still wasn't yielding.
Well, no, but the average points per game is just the same. It's 17.6 versus 17.7.
I'm just going optics and just like what people might be thinking going into that draft and why they might be thinking, be taking him a little bit later.
At this point in time, Deshaun Watson's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers.
No, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you that it's strange. I'm just saying this might be why you might be seeing that.
Why is DJ Moore going later than I would have expected? I have DJ Moore penciled in as a player that you should be comfortable taking at the 2-3 turn. And people, I guess, in this draft thought that was too early.
I think people are maybe wondering about the quarterback situation there.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think that these next two are pretty self-evident. And I was thinking as this draft was going on, how the fuck did I slot Todd Gurley up this high? But Todd Gurley went much later. So did Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, those are easy.
Well, I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. If you don't still think that you can consider him a back end wide receiver 1 coming into next year?
Yeah,
a very
I'm just going
end.
off what people it's a what have you done for me lately kind of situation. And people, I think, are a little bit scared of Beckham right now.
Tell me about these guys, just as far as we're talking now. We're getting into more of the, let's see, we're getting into more of the kind of the early fourth round, late third round consideration here. Late third, early fourth round consideration in a 12-team half-point PPR. And you just tell me before we get into KJ Hill, because I know you got to get out of here. I got to go pick up the kids. James Conner is worry warranted. Ben Roethlisberger coming back, him having a year to get healthy. Is the worry warranted for him to fall further than that 3-4 turn, where I had him pegged?
I don't think so. I mean, not for me personally. But again, I could see how people could be wary of James Conner. Well, just that running back, it seemed like they were playing musical chairs there for a while. And just the way that he came on was kind of suspect in the first place. I feel like maybe people think he's maybe like a 1-year wonder. I can understand that.
So what about? I know you haven't started on your running backs yet, but I know you've watched a little bit of college football. Jonathan Taylor, probably the running back 1 for rookie drafts. I had him like 4 or 5. Do you think? I think for this one, this was one where we had to just put in placeholders and declare rookies. So I'll leave the rookies out. I think if the rookies would have been there in the draft room, they would have gone at more of the times that I would have thought. How about Kerryon Johnson? Going a lot later than I figured. I'm interested to hear your take on this. I had him penciled in at like the 4 or 5 turn, and he didn't go until closer to the end of the 5th round, close to the 6th. That's too late.
Yeah, I think it might be another situation where people worried about the quarterback situation there.
Why? Just because they're talking about trading? Bob Quinn came out today.
One of my good buddies is a big Detroit Lions fan, is from that area, and he pays attention to a lot of the news coming out of there, and he thinks that there's a possibility that Stafford might retire, that his back is worse than is being led on, and that there's actually a possibility Stafford might.
Oh, fucking trash! This is a friend of yours just speculating, and we're treating it like that should affect ADP.
No, he's not speculating. He pays attention to a lot of the news, to a lot of the reporting that comes out of Detroit. He's the definition of a homer. So he's paying attention to that wire, and there's a lot of scuttlebutt about Stafford being more injured than is being led on.
All right, so before we get to KJ Hill and Prochet quickly, I just want to go over a few of these guys that went earlier than I expected. These were players that I had pegged to go more towards the late 6th, early 7th round that ended up going earlier. You just tell me whether or not you think it's right that they went earlier, whether you think it's an anomaly they went earlier, or whether you think we should split the difference. Okay?
Okay.
Darius Geis.
I can't see it right now, but he went. You were saying he went earlier than you thought he should have, right?
Yes. Yeah. I can share the screen again if
that'd be great.
Like. So Darius Geis.
I think. I'm rooting for the kid, so I think he went probably where he should go.
Okay, Philip Lindsay.
I think
even with the news that we got from Broncos insiders at the Senior Bowl that Royce Freeman was finally going to get a little bit more involved this year.
I need to see it to believe it.
This is the one that I need to move up is Damian Williams, right? He belongs more up there in this kind of more in this territory of these guys because he went right in here, right?
Right.
That's probably about where he should go.
I'm guessing too. Like a lot of people are probably paying attention to how he did in the playoffs and are basing a lot of his preseason rankings based off of that. So I actually think I'm fine with him being a little bit later. I'm a little bit indifferent on moving him up, but I'll leave that to your discretion.
What about Raheem Mostert? That just feels like a 1 year kind of deal to me, doesn't it? It's going to be next year.
He was a journeyman.
He was so good, but he's been just so good during, for preseason, for, he's shown that he can, like, he's got juice, but I thought I had him kind of priced in kind of aggressively, putting him in here with the David Montgomerys here. I need to make a note that Devontae Freeman needs to move down. He was taken right. He was actually taken right about here. I didn't put any color on him, and I was very painstaking about this.
Right. I like Mostert. I'm probably gonna take Mostert before Tyler Boyd.
Okay, so these guys over here that went earlier, the Tyler Lockett's, the DJ Charks, the Tyler Boyds. Are there any players up here like the Stephon Diggses of the world, the Devontae Parkers, the Robert Woods, the DK Metcalfs, Debo, Calvin Ridley, out of that tier? You can even put Cooper Kupp. Let's put Cooper Kupp in that tier. So Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Parker, Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Debo Samuel. Do Tyler Lockett, DJ Chark, or Tyler Boyd, or even Terry McLaurin, do they belong there in that area where you would be taking them early 6th, late 5th?
Maybe a DJ Chark if he can produce anything like he did for a good clip last season.
Yeah.
I could see Chark up there.
Okay. So I've made notes about Chark. And then what about finally?
I think Terry McLaurin should be higher.
Okay. I think so. Well, clearly I'm making changes here due to this because it was a sharp draft. We don't have that much sample to go on. I've been going on like the ADPs of the Best Ball 10 contest where there's literally been. I just got finished Trashman with Best Ball 10 number 3. Literally, it was the third one of the season. And I think in the FFPC stuff there was like 50 of them that I was going on, and that stuff I even had to mess with a little bit because that's 1.5 point tight end premium PPR. But how about this? Do you think it's odd? Go ahead.
Well, I was wondering about Kareem Hunt. Is that a speculative position?
Yeah. He's going to go somewhere like Tampa, and he's going to fucking tear shit up. It's just it ain't gonna be in Cleveland. Cleveland ain't gonna want to. You have to pay him this time. They got him last year for 1 year, $1.1 million. Now I know he's restricted, but I don't think they're gonna be able to match any sort of. They're not gonna match any kind of tender for Kareem fucking Hunt. He's running around there fucking with open bottles of vodka. They have Nick Chubb. They brought him in because it was a John Dorsey thing, right? Yeah. It's like it's not. I think he's gone. What about Mark Andrews going after Darren Waller? Do I just have these two mixed up?
I think they're really close. I think they're really close. I have to imagine though that Darren Waller won't be the. I think Oakland's going to get a good receiver. Yeah, I don't think they're going to rely on Waller like they did this past season.
We got our boy Alan Seslowski here on, I guess, the YouTube chat saying James Conner feels like a huge value. He just went 9.2 in a dynasty in a superflex. Well, so a superflex dynasty startup. So I can see that he would never fall anywhere near that at 2020 redraft. But thanks for tuning in, Alan. We appreciate it, brother. Again, if you guys are watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, any of that stuff, please go subscribe to the podcast and Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you listen. We greatly appreciate it. All right, Trashman, let's talk about KJ Hill, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, as we round out the kind of breakdowns of these dudes we saw at the Senior Bowl. KJ Hill is 6 feet tall, 192 pounds. He has a 29-inch arm, a 9-inch hand, born September 15th, 1996, which would make him 23 for only about a week of his first NFL season. Then he'll be turning 24. So another one of these older guys, kind of like a Van Jefferson, which is interesting because of all the guys at the Senior Bowl, KJ Hill might have reminded me most of Van Jefferson, just with a little extra something there to him. 21% market share of team receptions in 2019, a 17% market share of team receiving yards, and a 21% market share of team receiving touchdowns. But if you look back to last season in 2018, actually double the catches of Terry McLaurin. So there've always been good players there. You always have trouble with these guys at Ohio State because there's just so much competition for touches and stuff like that. But the one thing about KJ Hill is that he was constantly getting open during one-on-one drills at the Senior Bowl. It was just like I tweeted out death, taxes, and KJ Hill's open. We have another one of these highlight reels from our friend Brad Kelly. He put on all the Senior Bowl reps there for KJ Hill. So I'll pull that up. And Trashman, you can just talk about what it is that you like about him. Again, hat tip to Brad Kelly for these Senior Bowl reps. And as you can see, if you guys listening on the podcast, you can go and watch it on YouTube, RosterWatch.com/YouTube, or just type in KJ Hill Senior Bowl, and you can find Brad Kelly's video. But he finds all kinds of different ways to get open. Really good stemming off the line of scrimmage. Not as you said, Trashman, not very physical at the line of scrimmage, but the way that he uses his feet and his stems right there at the line to get off and get dudes off of their spot, get them off platform right at like that. At the very beginning. He throws guys for a loop pretty easily with really good footwork. It's really, really consistent the way that he can stem at the line like this. What do you think about him? Your comp was Jarvis Landry, which was funny because that was my comp too. It's also his own comp for himself, which is why I like it. What did you see in KJ Hill?
I saw someone who, like you said, he's not that physical a player, but he's got great footwork and he's got great body control. He can turn on a dime. And I just think, those inside routes, which I think he's most adept at. I think he projects to be a slot guy on the next level. He's somebody who can get open kind of at will, but I think if he does face the press, I think he's going to have a lot less success. I think he was able to avoid that for the most part at Ohio State, and he's got super sticky hands. He's got, I'd say, elite hands, and he's one of the best route runners that I've evaluated up to this point. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. He had at least 50 catches in his last 3 seasons. And he caught at least a pass in 9 consecutive games to end his career at Ohio State. So I think he's somebody who's going to be able to produce. I think he's going to be a PPR special. I don't see him being someone who necessarily scores a lot on the next level, although he did get 10 touchdowns, I believe, his last season at Ohio State. I think he's going to be a PPR guy, a guy who's going to be reliable, a guy who's going to be a high floor guy. I don't see him being necessarily a high ceiling guy, but I think he's a safe fantasy player.
I like him. I think he's like a mid-round dynasty, kind of like just a lock for, if you play in a PPR dynasty league. I think that I would not feel bad getting to the early 3rd round and taking a guy like KJ Hill. I mean, it'll be landing spot dependent, right? But yeah. He has a really unique ability to get open, man. He can do it in all kinds of different ways. I agree with Trashman. Not the most physical, but I mean, PFF did have him graded with, I believe, 31 evaded tackles over the course of the last 3 years. So even if it's not, huge physicality that he does it with, he's got those feet, man. I mean, you can just see it. You go watch those Senior Bowl reps. You can see the way he stems at the line. Those feet, like those actions, those motions, they translate in the open field and with the ability to evade tacklers. So KJ Hill is a guy that I have ranked out of the guys I've done so far. I mean, we haven't done any juniors yet.
Well, I was going to say one thing I really liked was that he maintained his production at Ohio State despite playing with numerous quarterbacks there.
You're right, and he fell off a cliff whenever Dwayne Haskins left. A lot of those guys did, right? But it's he was still deep. From our production scores, yeah, it's not the best. He was at a 0.20 as far as his college production coefficient, which is, one of the worst of the guys that we evaluate. The only one who had a worse that one we've evaluated just from a team specific context is Van Jefferson. So the 2019 was pretty tough. These other guys like Brian Edwards, Brandon Ayuk, Denzel Mims, Michael Pittman, all these guys that are more like 0.30, sort of like 30%ers. 20% is pretty bad. Even Devin Duvernay's a 33%er, Juwan Jennings a 35%er. Colin Johnson, who missed most of the season, was a 25%er. So look, you can worry a little bit about it, but then again, it's just the Ohio State rule, and it's also the fact, dude, this guy double the catches in Terry McLaurin's senior season as Terry McLaurin. So
yeah,
and just seeing him live, which like I believe he's my number 5 senior as of now, and
that's what it looks like.
I whether I stick by that, I'm not sure. Me Life World asks in the YouTube comments, how many wide receivers go in the first 2 days of the draft? I don't know. I'll know better once we get them all done. If I were to take a guess right now and give an over/under, I'd say 16. It's going to be a ton of them. It's going to be a ton of them in the first 100 picks. All right. Let's talk about James Prochet from SMU. Obviously, the next in a long line, I guess not that long a line, but it's pretty good receivers coming out of SMU lately. Emmanuel Sanders, Cortland Sutton, Trey Quinn. Now we get James Prochet, 5'10" and 5'8", 196 pounds, 30 and 1/8 inch arms, 9 and 5/8 inch hands. 111 catches last year for these guys. Super efficient as far as that's concerned. A guy who works with our good friend, Coach D-Rob. He's been working with Coach D-Rob, David Robinson, at Always Open there in the Dallas area since he's in about 8th grade. That's about when I first started seeing James Prochet. It was awesome to see him at the Senior Bowl and see all of his hard work sort of paying off for him. He is he's gonna kill the short shuttle. He's gonna kill the 3-cone. He's not gonna run his 40 worth of shit. He just isn't. Again, Brad Kelly put up all of his reps. So let me put up his reps from the Senior Bowl here while we're talking. And Trashman, you could tell me who he reminds you of.
Well, he reminded me a little bit of KJ Hill, not as polished, but I think kind of that same kind of, explosive movement. And I just, in watching his college tape, he's got that dog in him. He's got a lot of fight in him. He's a more aggressive, smaller receiver than a KJ Hill, but he's not as polished, I don't think. He's not as sharp a route runner, but I like his aggression. Like his comp to me was like, I'm thinking like Brandon Cooks type of player.
But nowhere, no, because he can't be a Cooks because Cooks is just so fast and Prochet's slow. Prochet's going to run a 4.5. For his size, Prochet's going to run like a 4.5 something. Brandon Cooks is a 4.3. So? Yeah. He has trouble separating deep. He has trouble getting open deep, whereas that was Brandon Cooks' calling card. I can understand what you mean in certain aspects of his game, but I just think that the biggest aspect of Cooks' game when he was coming out was that he was going to burn you deep, and that's just not anything that James Prochet can do. Look at his feet. He has nifty feet there in the small spaces.
Yeah, to me it was his small space kind of behavior and just like him kind of like jumping and running through guys, getting the contested catch that I liked.
Did you think that he was comparable as far as a prospect to KJ Hill? Is that like, I don't have him ranked particularly close just because the whole week of the Senior Bowl,
I think KJ Hill's a better route runner. for sure.
Well, so how do you have these two guys stacked up?
I have KJ Hill in front of James Prochet at this point. I want to see. I want to see maybe a little bit more tape on him to see this his open field route, because what I saw, like some of the outs that he ran, he seemed to get open deep fairly easily.
His tape is better than his performance was at the Senior Bowl. I'll say that, and he's going to get overdrafted, I think, because of the way. Because here's the thing, the quarterbacks that weren't good on his team, and I forget which one it was. I think it was Shea Patterson, and I forget the other guy. The guys that weren't Jordan Love, they would always throw it to Prochet because he was always open underneath. You know, so like he would get peppered during these team drills.
Patterson and Gordon.
Shea Patterson and Gordon. Yeah, Gordon. I think he was on that squad. But those guys, Love was the one that had the balls to push it down the field. Whereas those guys would just look for these safe underneath outlet stuff. And so everybody in the stands was like, holy shit, James Prochet, he's like he's taking over. Look at him. He's all over the place. Whereas I was just like, well, they're just doing that because they can't push the ball down the football field to these guys. So I think Prochet could get overdrafted. I do. You've already heard Patriots Twitter talk about him. And look, I have no doubt in the world that we're working with Coach D-Rob, working with Coach Margin Hooks at Sky's the Limit, working with some of these guys in the skill-specific training. He is going to kill his 3-cone. And if we know one thing, it's that the New England Patriots need to draft wide receivers. And the New England Patriots, before they look at anything else, look at the 3-cone.
He looks fast on tape. But if you're saying that he's going to run, you said a 4.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything faster, I will be stunned.
Huh.
If he runs anything faster than a 4.5, Trash Man, I think you should drink a whole gallon of rotten milk.
I don't drink much milk at all in any case.
All right. Well, that'll be the pod. I got to get out of here to go take care of my kids, go pick up the kids.
Yeah, I got to.
Trash Man's got to go do some shit too. So, and if you guys watched on YouTube, thank you so much. We love you. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever it is you listen. You can make sure you never miss an episode if we happen not to stream it here. So with that being said, again, love you. Happy Valentine's. We will be back tomorrow with Byron, and we will talk to you then. Peace.